On another note, not less dramatic, let's retrieve from memory the case of the former Boston priest, John J. Goggin. Since the mid-90s, more than 130 people have come forward with horrific childhood tales about how he allegedly fondled or raped them during a 3-decade spree through a half-dozen parishes of the Archdiocese of Boston. Almost always, his victims were grammar school boys. One of them was just 4 years old. It is legitimate at this moment that many people were asking themselves, what is the sense of God's sovereignty in front of the scandal of the abuse of those innocents? However, it will not be surprising to see that some of our fellow Haitians produce the following reflections and comments. We are African descent. It is a Caucasian issue. We are not part of this. We are not concerned. But the incredible will occur. A Haitian priest, someone that we know, Father FJ, has been arrested by the police because he has been kept abusing a minor male. He used to visit us here in Marapen. We welcomed him here as a brother. He was very appreciated by the community, especially because of his charism of prayer. Some of you may legitimately ask, why did God not let us know? Why allow such a big scandal? Worse, most of us kept silence. It is easy to understand that it was by embarrassment and shame, by concern about the prestige of the church and priesthood in general, while we deepen our thoughts, our concern about the priest, about the church, and ourselves, there is a piece that lacks in the puzzle, in the equation. This young male, this victim. Let's try in a moment to put ourselves into his shoes, into his parents' shoes. And let's reflect. Before attaining that level, the level of the act itself, let's think about what he has endured as an offer, as threat from the perpetrator. But also let us consider what reason can force a minor male to accept. We will not be surprised if the humble condition of family, the promise of some gift, were the main causes of his submission. And we need to understand, by keeping silence, many of us may feel very comfortable. We remain neutral like Switzerland in the World War II. But we need to remember what we really need to remember is, by doing so, we tell Father FJ and all the other persons who are perpetrating such a crime and that we have not knowledge of, you may continue. There will be no pursuit, no sanctions, no judgment. Worse, we tell that a child, this victim, you are alone. There There is no need to wait for any kind of support from us. Let's imagine the long list of minors that are living this situation in their own families, from people they are supposed to primarily trust. Nobody from home takes the chance to talk about it. Even the church, which looks like a place of respect, prestige, and credibility, doesn't mention it. The life of those children has become the succession of bad news. And they are the long nights of winter that are desperately waiting for the rise of a little sun in their sky. When will come that person who will understand them, who will speak their language, who can practice that necessary solidarity with them? At the midst of their pain, there is a good news for them. There is somebody who can understand them because he suffered exactly the same kind of injustice and betrayal, even worse. He grew up in the obedience to his parents. He was a teacher for his disciples, showing them to love each other. He had extraordinary charisms and put them at the service of the poor by giving them food miraculously and by healing them from all their sickness. But by hatred and jealousy, he was betrayed by one of his friends and he was condemned to death by those who had authority and prestige at this time. The day he was about to be put to death, while he was suffering, many women from the neighborhood were crying in front of the calamities under which he was submitted. What many people did not understand: why he never pronounced a curse toward them. Why he never said anything against his offenders. He did never pronounce any curse. He was rather like a sheep that they were bringing to the slaughterhouse. His name was Jesus of Nazareth. If at this moment he has expressed any word of anger, we would understand, because in front of betrayal and injustice, feeling revolt is a normal sentiment. But he has chosen to express his solidarity with those who are suffering injustice and betrayal until the end. This man is not just a normal one. He is the perfect one. His birth is an incarnation. By this we mean, when he became man, eternity has met time. The divine gave a strong hand to the human. For this reason, he is what they say in Latin, the norma normans, the wool that wools, the glasses with which we may read and understand reality. And all the words we hear from him about the perpetration of acts of injustice and betrayal toward innocence is, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. So the question today is, how long will we wait for practicing compassion and solidarity with those who are victims and survivors of all those cruelty? But first, there is a story that is convenient to tell this morning. This is the one of the followers of Jesus Christ after his death. They were convinced that his passion and sufferings were a clear call to them to practice compassion and solidarity among themselves. We indeed read their story in the book of the Acts of Apostles, chapter the 2nd, verses 42 to 47. In this community, there were some members in privileged positions, those who had possessions, and they were moved to sell their properties and break bread together with everyone, but particularly taking care of the basic needs of those who did not have these means. At the same time, these practices as a testimony to silent, it can be considered as a testimony to the silent bystanders who are perplexed by the actions of solidarity and are led to join the group. And of course, the vulnerable whose basic needs had not been met now receive, each according to their need. We are called by Jesus and the primitive church to practice solidarity with the vulnerable and to protect the less, because we must love our neighbors as ourselves. What happened to them happens to us. Where they were abused, we are. Where they are cried, we do. What will we wait for to let all the offenders know in what pain, shame, and suffering they put those innocents? Will we remain comfortably into our seats in the church and at home, worshiping here and joking there, like if nothing happened? Will we decide at the opposite, to hold the victims, to listen to them with respect, attention, and concern? Are we ready to consider them as we consider ourselves? Will we give them a place at the table where we will discuss on the best way to protect our children and to create a safer environment? Like Jesus, they are crucified on the cross of injustice and abuse. Let's hear their innocent voice that are telling us, I thirst, I thirst, I thirst. They are indeed thirsty of our compassion and solidarity. In other words, they are waiting for us to be moved by the principle and practice of love for the neighbor. They are dying that, like Jesus, we may identify ourselves with them. Ultimately, from this participation to the reality of the vulnerable, we may experience an integral part of everyone's life and may make every moment of life a call to solidarity. May God bless you now and forever. Amen.